So, for the first case study, we had a newborn girl that was born normal at birth, but within 24 hours, she had developed lethargy, hyperthermia, and apnea. So, we had suspected a metabolic disorder and ordered a panel of labs. The initial blood ammonia level was elevated at 314 micrograms per deciliter. The normal range is between 17 and 80, and it rapidly rose to 600 micrograms per deciliter. So, since the body is constantly breaking down protein, nitrogen is released and much of it ends up as ammonia. And this is toxic and would need to be removed safely. So, a few ways that the body moves ammonia is that it collects the nitrogen as amino groups, transports it in between tissues, converts it into something safe, and then excretes it. So, transamination allows for the swapping of amino groups. This is a process where amino acids pass their amino groups to another molecule. So, rather than releasing ammonia everywhere, tissues will move nitrogen around in a safe form. Most of these amino acids pass their nitrogen to alpha-ketoglutarate, turning it into glutamate. So glutamate dehydrogenase releases or picks up the ammonia. And by releasing ammonia from glutamate or fixing ammonia into glutamate allows for the body to send ammonia into the urea cycle in the liver. The glutamine synthase packs ammonia up for safe transport. It does this by adding ammonia to glutamate to make it into glutamine, and this process requires ATP or energy. And since glutamine is a safe way to transport ammonia in the bloodstream, the liver will use this enzyme to clean up the leftover ammonia that has escaped from the urea cycle. So the glutaminase unpacks ammonia where it is needed. This enzyme will remove ammonia from glutamine and turn it back into glutamate. This is located in a few places in the body, such as the kidneys, which release ammonia into the urine, which helps neutralize acids and excrete it, and the liver, which release ammonia so it can enter the urea cycle, which is the main detoxification system of the ammonia in the body. So in the fasted state, the body still needs glucose, so it begins to break down muscle protein. So when this protein is broken down, two things are produced. Carbon pieces, which can be turned into new glucose, and nitrogen, which is carefully carried to the liver and removed, since we know that nitrogen can become ammonia and that is toxic. So alanine, glutamine, and the glucose-alanine cycle are used to transport these products. So after muscle breaks down protein into amino acids, alanine and glutamine will carry nitrogen safely in the blood. So alanine reaches the liver and the carbon part becomes pyruvate, which is used to make new glucose. And gluconeogenesis and the nitrogen part becomes urea, which is then filtered to the kidneys and excreted. The liver sends the newly made glucose back to the muscles and the cycle repeats, and this is known as a glucose-alanine cycle. So nitrogen transport and gluconeogenesis are linked because of the amino acid alanine, since it delivers both the nitrogen to be removed safely and the carbon needed to make new glucose. So OTC is an enzyme in the body that uses carbamyl phosphate that continues the urea cycle. So when the OTC is not working, carbamyl phosphate builds up inside of the mitochondria since it has nowhere to go. This then leaks into the cell cytoplasm, then pushing the carbamyl phosphate into the pyrimidine-making pathway, which produces orotic acid, causing the high orotic acid in the blood in the urine when measured. So the N-acetylglutamine synthase, or NAGS, is the enzymes to be less deficient. This is the enzyme that makes N-acetylglutamate, which activates carbamyl phosphate synthase 1. This enzyme that makes carbamyl phosphate. If NAGS doesn't work, CPS1 cannot be turned on, meaning that there is little to no carbamyl phosphate to be made. So without the carbamyl phosphates, there would be nothing to leak into the pyrimidine synthase. Therefore, there would be no excess orotic acid in the blood or urine. So the amino acid that becomes essential with OTC deficiency is arginine. The urea cycle makes arginine in the body, which qualifies this to be a non-essential amino acid since we're not using a diet to have access to. But with the OTC deficiency, the urea cycle becomes blocked, preventing the body from making its own arginine. Since the body is no longer able to produce arginine, we must add it into the diet, thus then making it an essential amino acid. So for the next case study, we had a 23-year-old man present with the persistent of fatigue, mild depression, and difficulty falling asleep. So he reports that his sleep has been poor for the past few months. He often feels wired but tired at night, and he's also shifted to a strict vegan diet, and there's a lot of stress from work. So he's also a local college student finishing his last year of classes. Vital signs are normal. Psychiatric exam is positive for depressed effects, but otherwise the physical exam has nothing else to contribute. So the neurotransmitter serotonin is directly made from the amino acid tryptophan in the brain. The brain uses tryptophan to make serotonin, which helps regulate mood, sleep, appetite, and their overall well-being. The first step of this process is tryptophan changing into 5-HTP, and then this changes into serotonin. Serotonin can in turn be used to make melatonin, which helps us sleep. So one of the major metabolites of serotonin is 5-HIAA. When the body is done using serotonin, it gets broken down in the liver into 5-HIAA. So this product is then released into the urine where it can be measured. And the measurement of this can be helpful, checking for carcinoid tumors, which can make too much serotonin in the body. So the enzyme that makes melatonin from serotonin is HIOMT. And this occurs mainly in the pineal gland. So prior to serotonin becoming melatonin, it needs to be changed into N-acetylserotonin. And this is accomplished by AANAT. So this is the key rate-limiting enzyme that controls how much melatonin is produced at night. So we know that tryptophan is needed to make serotonin. This is the chemical that can help regulate mood, emotions, and sleep. And if tryptophan levels are low, the body is unable to make enough serotonin. And serotonin is also needed to make melatonin, which is the sleep hormone. So when tryptophan is low, falling asleep can become harder. We become more restless, some experiencing being less alert in the morning, and it is harder to stay asleep. So mood changes can be seen when tryptophan is low, and then in turn you can become more irritable, have more anxiety, and even depression-like symptoms can occur. So although there are several plant-based foods that provide plenty of protein, there are certain amino acids that are different from those found in animal-based proteins. These plant-based proteins lack enough tryptophan or contain a small amount of it. So lentils, for example, are a good source of plant protein but have a low tryptophan in them. Foods like seeds, nuts, and whole grains contain more tryptophan, so determining a balanced meal is important if we want to maintain a strict vegan diet. But a better source of tryptophan is found in animal-based proteins like eggs, dairy, turkey, and chicken. So tyrosine is converted into L-DOPA. This is the enzyme used in tyrosine hydrolysase, located in the cytoplasm of chromaffin cells, the adrenal medulla, and sympathetic neurons. So this is a rate-limiting step, meaning it controls how fast this process goes. The next step is turning L-DOPA to dopamine. The enzyme used in DOPA is DOPA decarboxylase. This is located in the cytoplasm. The following step is dopamine into norepinephrine, which is the enzyme that is used in dopamine beta hydroxylase, and these are located in the secretory vesicles in the chromaffin cells. So the last step is norepinephrine to epinephrine. The enzymes used is phenylethylamine N-methyltransferase. These are located in the cytoplasm of the adrenal medulla cells. So tyrosine is a building block for norepinephrine and epinephrine. These are responsible for the fight or flight chemicals in the body. So if tyrosine levels are low, there could be a weaker stress response, meaning that it could be difficult to keep blood pressure up if it drops. You start to feel more tired and become less alert when there is a time for the body's needs to react quickly. So turning tyrosine into DOPA, the main cofactor is tetrahydrobiopterin, so BH4. And vitamin C, although it's not doesn't directly do anything in this reaction, it does help keep BH4 in its active form so the reaction can continue efficiently.